Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I had a fire to put out, but I'm super excited to be back on the platform collaborating with real life street stars to basically put y'all back in the know about what's going on with the Karmelo Anthony case and also get y'all reacclimated because it's been a minute. It's been a long minute, and I do have a guest that's coming that I wanted to. Oh, the guest is here. I do have a guest that's coming that y'all are familiar with because we was here last year talking about the freak off, or was it Freaky Diddy or something we was talking about, some name that I came up with. And she was talking about he innocent. He probably is now because the way they out here acting, it listen, I don't trust the Jane Doe girl. I'm just like, girl, you been out here, you was out here giving it up. You was definitely out here giving it up, and you still giving it up. So I'm just like free Diddy at this point because if they ain't have her, they ain't have no case with the feds. So I'm just like, now why y'all brought the one that was giving it up, and you got a real victim? She ain't even want to prosecute, but we'll stay there for another day and another time. So just to give y'all an overview of what we're going to touch on tonight, we have updated, enhanced evidence that how the hell that they didn't enhance this information back when it was actually in state's custody, because it's the audacity for me that you don't enhance the audio, but you enhance and destroy the video. Y'all, the math is not math. And I'm just like, at this point, we need to overhaul all these people that are in these positions because they are incompetent. And you know why they're incompetent? Because they don't, they skin color don't match this. Don't match this. Because that's why they got mad at me. And, they wanted to, come at my neck because I called them the D word. Because they are. They are. Show me one that's smarter than me. I'll wait. Show me one that ain't stole from my ancestors. I'll wait. I'll wait. So we're going to get into that, but we're going to touch on some hot topics because y'all know our boy Pooh Shiesty, that's our dog. But God doggone Pooh Shiesty, we ain't going to get no more music. Now, Pooh, why you come out? We got one good song. That's it. We've been waiting for 5 years for a song. We're going to get into that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring my guest up because y'all are familiar with her, but we're going to bring the YN lawyer back because she out here getting not guilty. She out here busting the state, like we are, like the colors do. They mad they got these Negroes and got educated. They ain't let these Negroes get educated, and they like, oh, we got to turn it around. Like, we got to find another way. So I'm going to bring my guest to the stage. Good evening, Euladria. How are you doing?
Hey, girl. Hey, y'all. Just survive.
Because she out here doing the good things for the YNs, because the YNs ain't doing the good things for themselves. So somebody got to take care of the YNs out here. Doing it, they stressing her out, but
free them all. Free them all so they all free,
Yeah, because it don't matter if you get to or not. Your rights are your rights, and they deserve to be protected. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself so that people can know where you are, where you can be found, and where you practice. Because she doubled. I ain't gonna say where, but she got several. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, guys. I'm Euladria Drummond. I am the managing attorney, the attorney for Drummond Law Group. I'm located currently, my office is in Fort Washington, Maryland. I'm from Houston. Shout out to the H. I'm barred in Texas, DC, and Maryland at this time. So yeah.
So y'all know what that means. She can help y'all in a couple of different states and jurisdictions. So you already know where to go because, like I said, she out here busting it with the truth Because the one thing that we know about, prosecutors, and me being a former prosecutor, this one my pedigree though. I ain't play with God. I ain't play with God. I just did what God told me to do, but I ain't play with him. They really be in their line. They really be in their line. They be making up a whole scenario that ain't even a part of the facts. They put it like they put themselves in the situation as if they are the victim. No, that's not what the evidence says. So I'm just going to say they be lying. They be fabricating. They be making up stuff, just like what we finna talk about with Mr. Karmelo Anthony and the prosecutors and his defense team, that he really didn't have a defense. So let me just, them people that showed up and pretended to try this case. That's what they are.
Put them in
But
the
yeah,
trash.
prosecutors, we already know what they, it's few far in between that you're gonna find you a good one. And when you find one, they're hard to find, but you hold on to them and hope that the case gonna travel them until it's over, because we know when it switch, that energy switch, and people feel cocky until your ledger show up and gotta humble them. Humble them, and they be like, who is this firecracker? Oh, you ain't know? Mic
Child.
check, mic check. So thank you for joining me, because I think with situations like this, it's very important that we start utilizing what we work so hard for to educate, because we've seen in not only this process, but in other situations that go on in the criminal justice system, there's a gap in education. There's a
True.
gap in people knowing exactly what the reality is and what is not, because if people are properly educated on the process, I ain't gonna say we're gonna see a major dip, but we'll see a dip. We'll see a little lean or a little bend, what they out here doing in Dallas, Texas, a little bend. It's gonna be quick and then it's gonna come back straight. But hey, that one is enough. One is enough. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna first touch on a really hot topic before we get into Karmelo Anthony, because we know the streets are talking about the snake that said he can outsnake the snakes. And I'm just like, Pooh, you came out, you made this whole song, you didn't diss the feds. You dissed the feds within your first month of being out. And I'm just like, no, don't be dissing the feds if you're not out here doing what you need to do, because they don't forget. They wait. They analyze. They have receipts. Like they literally be it, just like thinking about an OBGYN. They like an OBGYN. They all in your, like they know exactly where's a dent, where it's not a dent, like why it's dry, why it's moist, why it's a little discoloration. They know all that. So I'm just saying, think of an OBGYN going in your, and that's the feds. They know everything. So when the situation happened, I was like, oh, I think we're gonna be fine. I guess I was too optimistic, because I was like, no, we can't lose Pooh Shiesty again. So what were your first thoughts when you heard the news that Pooh had been arrested and where we are now?
My first thoughts were, of course, I'm waiting on evidence. I'm like, free the guys. There's clearly he's free. Like, this is not gonna work. I'm like, but then we all also know when the feds get you, we be like, the feds for the most part gonna get you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's knowing like that they do be having the evidence. Typically is when you go to trial, whether the evidence actually hits how they want it to hit is the difference, right? Like they're gonna be thorough, because again, they have a lot of resources.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing getting now, seeing this video come out where y'all record everything. This is one of those moments when you see it and your client like, man, they ain't got this, they ain't got that, and you be like, don't. And then they have it, you be like, don't piss me off. Like that's literally, I'd be like, don't piss me off, because now I'm pissed. Because why do I see? And that's the one where you could just go to the jail and you already have it pulled up, and then you just turn the computer around and you just stare at them and you press play, and then you get up and you walk out, because there's really nothing to talk about.
There's really nothing that you can do. You like,
piss me off. because now I gotta come up with a reason as to why that video, it doesn't even matter. But some of them you can't get out of. So that's one of those moments you're like, we need to start talking about a plea. And even then, I don't do that. Like, I still be like, free the guys. I still believe he still has a chance. He's just, when you get to this point, it just makes your life harder, because now you're like, what more do I have to do? Like, it's almost like, okay, now I got to really pull some out the depths of the earth to make this go away. And he's too popular. He's too controversial. And they're going to use everything against him. And it's just the person standing next to him who pulls out the, alleged.
Until it's in evidence,
the alleged weapon, that possibly, if that's even a weapon. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a baton. I don't know what it is.
It's a toy to me. It's a toy. It looks like you can't put toys on us.
We cannot judge anything until there's a test fire. They can't test fire that whatever that thing is in his hand. I don't know, but it doesn't look good when you get this evidence, and then you're like, And I don't know why we thought this wouldn't be out there.
Before we play the video, make sure y'all are liking, subscribing, and commenting and sharing this live, because we're going to go into some topics with Karmelo Anthony that a lot of people can't really touch on. They can speculate, but they do the best that they can with knowing that they don't have the actual experience to talk about it. So we appreciate the messages that are being pushed out regarding the truth with this case. But before we play, we're about to play this Pooh Shiesty video, because listen, I'm like this. Do y'all have that gun? Because it's the standard is, did the victim believe that their life was in danger or was in fear? I want to see that offense report that was made after this incident happened. Like, it was made the same night. The police, the DPD went to the location. I want to see what that offense report states, to see what Gucci Man, like, how he formulated any kind of fear. Because that goes into a lot when we're talking about guns being present. Right. Even though he's a convicted felon, you still got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that was an actual gun. And if
that's not even him pointing the gun, though. You know what I mean? If you really look at it, it's not him.
No. And he probably should have been legally able to have the gun.
And also, they're obviously in a place where they do like music, right? Where it's not far-fetched they have prop guns. It's not far-fetched that they have, that kind of stuff in the studio. As far as we're concerned, this could have been a skit.
Listen, not only a skit, let's not talk about Gucci being a killer. He talked about putting people in the dirt. It wasn't too far along when he was on that stage with Jeezy, hyping up about putting that band in that dirt and not being apologetic about it, even though it was self-defense. But listen, he done took somebody out. So I'm not showing up to a location with a person who is schizophrenic and he loses it. And if I don't know if he got his meds or what, if he, listen, it ain't a gun. It was just there. You know what I'm saying? And it may have not been a real person. Y'all got to prove that.
But y'all also have to prove that he directed that person to do that.
Exactly.
If he didn't direct him to do that, and this is what this boy did on his own way, I didn't tell you to do all that. I was recording this from my records. I don't know what you over here doing. I can't control you.
Listen, I ain't tell him to make him not let him not leave. You saw it, and we finna see it, because we finna pull it up so y'all can see it and tell us what y'all think in the comments.
It's done deal. Bro, let them know it's a done deal. Bro, it's a done deal. Let them know you dropping me. I'll drop you. No, say it. Who should I say drop from 1017? Shout out to real nigga. Ain't never did no police shit or none of that, bro. Tell them what's going on. Bro, we just did that. That's done. What you do? You drop. You said you want to be dropped. You drop. Scrub in. Paper. It's done. This shit over with, shit. You dropping this dumb deal. Bro, let them know it's a done deal. Bro, it's a done deal. Let them know you dropping me, I'll drop you. No, say it. Who should actually drop from 1017? Shout out to real nigga ain't never did no police shit or none of that, bro. Tell them what's going on. Bro, we just did that. That's done. What you do? You drop. You said you want to be dropped. You drop. That's what I did. Paper, it's done. This shit over with, shit.
Free the guys.
That's all I don't know. I mean, pulling out the whole, that thing is not even little. It's not even, I mean.
I know. It's like, and then to see your daddy over there with the papers that allegedly came from Office Depot, I'm just like, there were better ways to handle this. And a lot of people, and that's one thing a lot of people don't pay attention to when we're talking about the legal aspects. Listen, if he was holding your music up, baby, you could have went and got an injunction. You could have went and took him to court for breach, because now he's torturous interference of your business. But they don't know that. They don't know that, and then the people around them are not there to be a voice of reason. Because I'm gonna tell you like this, Pooh, we ain't going for that. You got too much. We got to be outside. We got to be outside. We got to make this money, because the money is coming to you like it's like a waterfall. People want and was ready to work with you, and I'm like, we ain't going for that. Not today, Pooh. No, because we need you to be out here snaking the real snakes in the grass, not the ones that is medicated. He medicated. We don't need to get that snake. We don't need it. Shoot. So we are going to go ahead and get off of Gucci. We're going to go straight into Karmelo. Just to update you guys, some of the information that has been coming out has been basically the evidence. Once you see the evidence, and once you get to analyze it from the standpoint of from your point of view, you get to see where the state and the defense made mistakes. And when I tell you, I was sitting in that courtroom and the judge said, "You can't make no facial expressions." I said, "The freedom of expressions of my damn face. Ain't no way you finna have me up in here a hostage of my facial expressions, and y'all up in here over here violating this young man's constitutional right." If the jury ain't even looking at me, but if they look my way, just know my face is going to tell them this is BS on every single and every day of the week. And I know for me, seeing it from the front line and knowing that I used to be a part of the system, it made my skin crawl. Like it was another dimension of hurt, because you'll never think that you're going to see it in 2026. In 2026, we are seeing the reverse of A Time to Kill. That's the energy it gave. We had white supremacists out there. We had the Mevkanian supporters, because that's what their new name is, the Mevkanians. They are a wild bunch. And I've never experienced white supremacy until this situation where I had to get my number changed. I couldn't even be in my house for about 5 to 7 days, because being doxxed, your personal information for speaking the truth. But I'm not going to stop speaking it, because that's the only way we make change, and we have change. And what came out yesterday, I was watching YouTuber Freezy. He has No Captivity. And what he did was he went and pulled one of the body cams and he enhanced the audio. And in the audio, you get to hear what Karmelo's team didn't even utilize during this trial. They didn't utilize the ability for him to have a defense. And whenever you, and I'm actually this before we actually get into the video, if you have a defendant that is on video and officers have him under arrest, well, not under arrest, have him in handcuffs, he's not free to leave, he's a minor, there's a serious crime that has been committed. You have a lot of kids around, so you have to make sure that you contain the scene. If you get a video where your client is in that state and makes certain statements, and the statements are, the first statement he made was, I was just trying to protect myself. And this is after the police say that he's a suspect. And then there's another statement that after they say he's a suspect again, he says, I know I'm not guilty. He put his hands on me. What would you naturally do from that standpoint? And what steps would you take with that piece of evidence, whether to make the determination where a motion to suppress needs to be filed, or what would you do?
So for sure, motion to suppress, there was no Miranda rights read immediately when you're calling him a suspect instantly, and he's making these, statements. He's what we call excited utterances, or in, then it's just a state of mind where he is, right? Like, they can try their best, but again, he's also a minor. I do juvenile as well. And as a minor, you start in that status. They knew they were at an event that was for minors. He was a minor. They knew that you can't even talk to him without legal counsel present. Like, instantly, any statement made at that point, they cannot do. They're not allowed to utilize that right then and there, because he was a minor, and the officer never tried to stop him. But also, the moment he was put in handcuffs, and over the radio, the person saying, I have the suspect. Oh, he's under arrest. He's not free to go. It's a natural arrest. Whether you had cuffs on you or not, if they even have you in their hand, you're obviously guiding you to a certain area. They're telling you where to go. He's not even supposed to talk. They're not even supposed to say anything. So I'm instantly attacking any encounter from the beginning. He's not getting any bit of that, should not even come in. And they used all of that. None of that should have came in. They knew he was a minor.
That's what I said. Just looking at the video, and we're gonna play it, but just looking at the video, one, understanding he's a minor. And I recall when I was a magistrate judge in Tarrant County, we had, what was it? I worked the 11 to, was I on a different shift? I was on the midnight to 8 shift. And there was a murder that happened where it was a 16-year-old that had unalived his grandfather, who took care of him. He was a pillar in the community. And I get the call that I had to go and do what we would consider, from that standpoint, a down and out. But making sure the minor knows his right, and know that he has the right not to make any statement, and making sure he understands from a minor standpoint, not an adult. And we had to do the protocol was very strict, and it had to be recorded, so that it's a record that shows that this individual was counseled by the resident magistrate that was on duty at the time when this crime occurred, so that on down the line, if there is an issue with the individual making statements, you have it in writing, you have it videoed. So when I saw that, I was like, this is also Collin County, and the triple threat normally operates from the same sense. I was bothered even at the thought that this officer knew that he was making these statements, and he did not do anything to stop it. He didn't say it because he was intentional about that. I knew what he was doing. He was not trying to stop Karmelo to protect Karmelo's constitutional rights. He was being, just like they all are in Collin County, letting people talk so that they can utilize that on the back end, and they just pray that they don't have an attorney that is going to challenge that. because it would have been a dog out fight. And the way these prosecutors was performing, they would have got that kick. Even if the judge did not grant it, the record was going to be very clear.
Right.
So I know it bothered me seeing that, and I'm just sitting back like, defense, y'all ain't even pinch these hoes.
Yeah, it instantly took away his right to adjust his defense, right? And his perception of what happened is in the moment, right? So he could have possibly not have even done what he thinks he did. He could have possibly not have. It literally, he was solidified right then that he was stuck there because they allowed that statement. Not only that, they talked about his statement that day. Absolutely not should not have been in the media. He is a minor. And his name shouldn't have been out there. Nothing should have been out there. When in Maryland, for sure, I know they have what they call a YAC hotline. That means all around the clock, there are public defenders who immediately, when these people are detained, they call and they have to get on there and be like, "Look, you're not to say anything. This is your rights." But the police officers know as soon as they get their age, boom, the conversation is over. First of all, they're not even worried about it. They find out immediately, you look like you're young, you're a minor. We can't say anything else. Don't say anything else. They're not even going to try. They're going to call your parents. They're going to, bring them where they are. They are not supposed to have a conversation with a minor. And then to put his statements out day one was insane because they knew he was a minor. This is the whole hype of it being a track event. Why would a kid bring something to a track event? A student do that. The mere fact that he's a student lets you know he was a minor. So it didn't even make sense why they were putting all the information out. But that would have never flew. Never.
No, seriously. And to think about the difference in treatment, because like I said, the individual who I had to admonish, even though he wasn't Black, he was Hispanic, his name was not released to the public until it was allowed to be released. So to know, like, they instantly put a target on Karmelo's back, his family's back, and they did not protect regardless of how you feel. The law does not give you a right to put emotions behind the law. It doesn't give you a right to put emotions behind the Constitution. It's there for a reason, to follow. But when we are talking about these counties that are predominantly white, they don't operate from the system of the balance of the law. They operated from the balance of their ancestors who was former slave owners. And they think that we are still in 2026. So understanding that, and I know there's a lot of parents don't even understand what that looks like to educate your children, because they now not only have to educate them on how to operate with police, they got to educate them on how to operate with the court of law. They are not safe. Like, African Americans are not, we have never been safe. But to see this in 2026, this was nothing but God. This was nothing but God. And I'm about to play the video, but while I'm gearing up the video, make sure that y'all are liking, subscribing, and you are asking any questions that we can get to, because we're going to open it up so that y'all can ask questions, because it's very confusing, because a lot of people came on the back end, but it's a lot of us that's been in the trenches since the beginning, because we knew what this was going to look like and what it was going to be. And we were just preparing for the reckoning. We hope that, these people would have followed the law, but we're going to talk about how they did follow the law when we get to this evidence. So baby, let me tell you, I felt my ancestors had to grab me, because I was like, "You're gonna go to jail. You're gonna go to jail. You gotta go to jail."
I wish I could have been there. I wish I could have been there.
Anthony.
Hold on. Okay. What you were saying?
I was just saying, I wish I could have been there at the trial. I was in my own trial trying a juvenile who was 14 for attempted murder. So, but I wish I could have been there, because I wish, but I also probably would have been put out, because I can't contain myself.
And we're going to talk about how that judge limited the public from access. And thank God I was there. Thank God that someone who has been in a position to have, like, cases that were newsworthy, to know how it operates and know how these cases cannot be closed to the public because it's our constitutional right. And I just, it was like, it was definitely a legal lynching. We were at the slaughterhouse and we had a young man, an innocent young man, because he's still innocent. He was just found guilty based off of fabricated evidence, a lying group of prosecutors, a unfair judge, and a not prepared defense. It was Karmelo Anthony versus everybody. And that's not how it should be. So let us get to this video. This video is, I pulled it from Freezy from No Captivity. I would recommend that y'all go. I was on his show last week, and I'm gonna tell him that you need to be on the show because he be asking a lot of questions from the standpoint of defense. And his when I tell you his community, oh, they detectives. And listen, they be asking questions. So he did a enhancement of this audio. Now I'll tell you that the evidence that they provided us is not the real and final evidence, and we're gonna talk about that too. So let me go ahead and add this video, and I'm gonna let y'all take a look at it. We're gonna talk about it. Put your questions in the chat. Make sure you are liking away so that we can make sure that the reaches who it needs to reach, which is our people and the people that even don't look like us, so they can understand. We see you. Peekaboo. We see you.
On this body cam footage is actually going to help him during the appeal process. Why? Because Karmelo said cognitively that he was not guilty. And he had said some more stuff. And I'm going to show you guys what he said. Well, one of the body cam footages, just to remind people, just for starters on this show, just for starters, just for the slow people in the back, the people that just want Karmelo Anthony to be guilty so bad. We're going to watch this body cam footage over again. Here we go. Here we go.
But hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
Where do you want me? If somebody is shooting the victim, they need to be over there.
Under a memorial pen.
Don't reach for anything. Stop right there for me.
I also raised the point where he said, I know I'm not guilty. Let's see if we can hear this a little more clearer. Here we go.
Dispatch 443, I got the suspects. And they're currently treating the victim. Again, he's on the north end of the stadium. All right. Any weapons on you like that? Come on. I'll look here.
How long? He put his hands on me. I know I'm not.
4-4.
Did you hear what he said? He put his hands on me. I know I'm not guilty. So we have, I was protecting myself. We have, he put his hands on me. I know I'm not guilty. But they never include that part. They always say, well, he admitted that he murdered. No, he did not. He never admitted he murdered anyone. Anyone. Karmelo Anthony never admitted that he murdered anyone. He actually told the officer he was protecting himself and he knows he's not guilty. This is the enhanced version, the enhanced audio version that I just did in real time in front of y'all. Here we go again.
But hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
Where do you want me?
But hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
Where do you want me?
But hold on.
And I'm just protecting myself.
He actually said, and I was just protecting myself, and I was just protecting myself, and I was just protecting myself. He said, and I was just protecting myself. He didn't say I was protecting myself. He said, and I was just. Do you know what just means? What does the word just indicate? It indicates that's all he was doing. He didn't murder nobody. He wasn't trying to kill nobody. The only thing what just does, when he used the word just, that means that he's secluded. He only was protecting himself. That's it. Only. Nothing more, nothing less. Only protecting himself. He didn't include murder. He didn't include anything else. He said that he just was protecting himself, and that's it. That's it. Because Karmelo said cognitively that for those that are spreading this vicious rumor that he just admitted to being guilty, no, he didn't. He actually said he wasn't guilty and that he was protecting himself. That's what he admitted to the cops. Yes, I'm not alleged I did it, but I was protecting myself and I know I'm not guilty.
I had to gather my lace up here because it started slipping. Because it starts slipping when the truth starts coming, and people don't like the truth. People that have an agenda don't like the truth. And what is sick about that is you have these overgrown, overprocessed prosecutors that would rather think and contaminate the truth than let the truth and the facts be judged on its merit, because they know they could not win. They knew they could not win with this video. That's why they didn't pay any attention to the enhancing it. They did not play this back and forth. A real defensive team or defense attorney is going to do exactly what Freezy did. They're going to play it back until the jury understands what this really is. If a judge is going to allow a video like this with statements to come in, what is going to happen is a true defense attorney is going to use it to its advantage, and he's going to turn it into their evidence, because it's no longer state's evidence. When my client won, y'all didn't suppress the statements that were being made. Okay, well, guess what? I'm going to turn it into my evidence. This is my courtroom now. Defense ready. Defense been ready. Let's go. So from your standpoint, what is your take on that particular piece of evidence? Why the state did not enhance the visibility of those statements if the judge was going to allow it to come in, and the fatal mistake that the defense made?
So this is crazy. It's timely, because in the same week, again, I was trying the 14-year-old, and the entire time we were prepping up to this case, they dumped me with discovery, and there was the video of the angle of, in my case, the shooting that occurred. And my client kept saying, I didn't shoot first. It was self-defense. It was self-defense. But this one video, the video they charged the case on, the video they did his transfer, well, the way we're hearing to see if he's going to be up or down, they use that video looked like my client just ran up to somebody and shot him. And I kept saying, oof, but the offers were so bad. I was just like, okay, you never had prior, never even should have been in adult court, but here we are. And I remember asking my former legal law clerk to go through every single video and pull every angle, and I want every single one. So I'm in the 11th hour going through every single video, and the same one, there's 2 videos for the same angle. One video is the one they charged with, and the other video was one that was very clear. And you can zoom in on the technology. You can go frame by frame. And if I had not did frame by frame, like going very slow or zooming or finding that video, it was at least 60 videos, right? Like of this entire area, right? You had to go through everything, hours and hours. If I had not done that, the state at no point even had saw the video. It was clear that the officers didn't either, right? They get up, their whole opening was based on the first one. And I said, no, there is video and it's very clear. And I said, this is something, and I told them what happened. They went back and tried to go find. Now they're working overtime for the next day trying to do it, and they tried to introduce it first. But because I had already found it and had really broke it down, I was able to use it faster, right? Because my clients statements were, I mean, he didn't make any statements, but a song he had made was going to come in. His text where he said, well, he pulled it first, but I shot first, were coming in, right? So that didn't help. He's 14 years old. So I believe that the prosecutors, in my experience, lean on the officers to get their evidence. And if the officers say that's evidence, they look at it, but they lean on them heavy because of how many cases or whatever they have. So I think a prosecutor is going to use what makes their case. Prosecutors don't call witnesses that don't make their case. Prosecutors don't put on evidence, don't make their case. And to them, the non-enhanced version was exactly what they wanted. But to me, even in the non-enhanced version, the statement should have been, the defense didn't do their job. But as the defense, you have less resources, but these particular defense attorneys didn't have less resources. So they should have been on the technology heavy. You have to do that. I have listened. Not only do I listen to the audio, I have a case coming up next week. I listen to the audio, I made my clips, and then I record it and I make transcripts of it for myself. And I go through and I listen to it over and over and over and be like, oh, did you hear that? Did you catch that? Did you catch that? And then I try and strip away the audio if I can to make sure I can hear what is going on. As the defense dropped the ball. You can't even blame the prosecution. This is the defense fail. It's your job. Now that this evidence is coming in, the defense has to absolutely do their job. And your job now is to take, I think my colleague told me today, the evidence professor she had, which is at the same school I went to, said that evidence is like a brick wall. They're like bricks, right? Like you either going to build them up, and it's our job to tear them down as the defense. And if there is no way possible that you are absolutely given this discovery, you knew these statements were coming in, that you didn't go in and listen and enhance that audio, defense failed. That wasn't a prosecution fail. The prosecution did their job by saying, I'm giving you evidence as it comes. It's not my job for you to go find the exculpatory thing. I gave it to you. You had it. It would be one thing if they had taken it and made it where it's impossible to, do it. They had it and they failed. So I say my take is that that's not a prosecution issue. That was a defense failure, and they failed miserably because those are very crucial statements. I absolutely would have wanted them statements, and I would have used them absolutely because they were actually beneficial to the defense for self-defense. So
it was very beneficial. What do you say about the information that is out now that wasn't the original video? Because a lot of people don't understand that. Yes, you can have altered or enhanced evidence entered into evidence, but it has to have it has to be attached to the original. You can't enter the enhanced without the original. And I'm not talking about the original from the standpoint of what you went and enhanced. I'm talking about the original from the school board, the district that had the original. And on top of that, there's another original for the actual who has access and owns the equipment for that video, because it's not owned by the school, it is contracted. They contract this company to come in and provide video. And what I've seen is the state only provided surveillance video. No. We want every ounce of video. And I feel like they got over on that, but not necessarily over because the defense should have came under and said, oh, we have an issue with Brady. Because what people don't know is that the state, as soon as a crime happens, they are, regardless of if the witness comes today or tomorrow, anybody that is attached to the case is under the care, custody, and control of the state, and they have to go out and get it for the defense, regardless of if they use it or not. But the defense laid down like some dogs with fleas on them. So what do you say to knowing that there was an additional video that witnesses have even came out and said they viewed this video and ISD, and it's a record of it, and they said it was HD. They could see bodies on bodies on bodies. They saw Karmelo being attacked by 4 individuals, but they was also tied to an NDA, so they couldn't say anything that they thought they could, because legally they could.
So it's still, I think I'm going to bash the defense a lot because I feel like they failed.
Please have fun.
But I think that in this case, it's a double-edged sword, right? You have the prosecution who was supposed to turn over all the evidence and they failed it, right? So there we do have a Brady violation, absolutely. And it is the shaky part about it is when you do go for a new trial or something like that, you're going back to the same judge who you had, and you're actually going back to the same county that you had, right? If you're trying to get one, and that's just how it goes. So imagine this is already the judge who already has kind of already screwed your case, right? So let's look at it. You were given this discovery. Let's just say you now see that they got this new video, but you relied on it. In one hand, you say, well, we relied that the state was moving in good faith. The state did not move in good faith, and the state presented it ready and said that the state said they gave us all evidence that they had, and they did. That was the state. They sworn to that, so they're bound to that, right? A real judge would say, absolutely not, it's a Brady violation. You know it, we know it. This is a trial. But in this county, I feel like all the judge would say is, but the defense could have went and got it themselves. They knew there was video. If they didn't trust the video, they could have went and got it themselves. My thing is, the moment that these defense attorneys got into this case, the game was already played dirty. It was all dirty. There is not a time that I would not have sent an investigator to backdoor go them videos myself. A lot of times I subpoena the videos myself instantly from the place. Like if I even know of an incident, I'm subpoenaing the videos, and you can't tell me no. You can disobey it, but now I can go get a body attachment on you because I know you didn't give me what I said I wanted. You have to play offense and defense at the same time before you get to the actual trial. You're on offense. You better start moving, because if you wait on the state is not going to do anything for you. And I would have absolutely disagreed with them even playing that enhanced video because it's not even remotely the same video. So they should have never done it. But again, it goes to show you that if the defense didn't object to it coming in, if the defense knew about it going in, the defense never even thought that it wasn't the right video because the defense didn't even try to go figure it out. Why are we now getting everybody saying this isn't it? This is not the video. They could have talked to those same witnesses who supposedly were under NDA. Every witness is fair game. I want to know who all you talked to there, who all was there. They don't get to hide that from the defense. So they had to have known they talked to all these other people. Did y'all go talk to them? Did you try and show them the video? They didn't do that. So I think the defense failed him across the board. I do hope that, because of the circumstances surrounding this, that he gets another judge to look at it and decide if they believe that this should be a new trial. But it absolutely is a Brady violation. Even the fact that if the audio, the SAP provided the audio is not new evidence because you could have enhanced it. But the video itself, if you're telling me, but what I guess I'm a little worried about is whether or not they had the actual video. Like if the defense had that video the whole time and chose not to, then that's again, it's good on appeal, ineffective assistance of counsel, right? But that's way down the line. That's not necessarily a new trial issue. So that sucks.
What's a getcha gotcha is the state and the colluders did not anticipate that the public was going to do the checks and balances. Because one thing about us, baby, when it comes to the blacks, when it comes to niggers, baby, we are the best investigators. Baby, we're going to find you or whatever you are hiding. I don't care how far, how wide, how long, and how tight. We got to go by doing it, because that's why I always say we are a threat. We are a threat because we don't think on these lines. Baby, we going, listen, we taking it through there. And we going to come back with something. We coming back with something. And that's why when we were doing, after I did the interview with Freezy, and to come to find out, because the state has, the AG put a block on anyone getting the video from the school, because they put in the FOIA with the school, and the school will automatically send it to AG, because at this point, because
they're represented by them.
Yeah. So, but the gotcha is they don't even need to go through the AG because there's another way to get it. Now I ain't putting it out there because I shared it with who needed to go to, because that's another layer of prosecutorial misconduct. There's another layer of Brady, and we all know Michael Morton is also a part of Texas. And not only do you have to follow the Constitution, you have to follow the oath that you took as a lawyer. You also got to follow Brady, the federal rules of evidence, and Michael Morton, because Michael Morton was the result of a detective taking evidence to his house and leaving it there that was contributing to his innocence. So what they said, I don't care what it is. If it's a piece of your nail that and got caught in the paper, and you can't get you turn it, that's a part of discovery at this point. Is married. So to know that this video alone, the original wasn't admitted into evidence, because now you are violating the jury's ability to be fair and impartial. And that's something that they're required to do. And they can't do that from the standpoint of your tainted, altered, enhanced evidence. And for the life of me, I don't know what real judge would allow that kind of enhancement that actually distorts the validity of the alleged crime scene.
There was no point of even playing that video, to be honest. To me, it showed absolutely nothing. And I would have said, what are we looking at? What is it what are they trying to show here? It's not, we don't even know who's who. You see people running, but what are they running from? All them people under that, I'm certain you could tell who was under the tent with the other video when we saw it in hands. This is not it.
Mm-hmm.
And no, but it just shows you the judge was doing what he was going to do. This is exactly what he wanted to do. You can tell when the judge is putting that finger on that scale and saying, this is going to go a certain type of way. It's happened too many times. But in this case, the evidence that we are seeing, or the little pieces, I don't even know if that's enough to convict. So I'm like, what evidence did they even have? All this testimony of everybody is saying, oh, he was the aggressor. Why didn't they bring in all them other? First of all, I got so many things I just think about, like the fact that why didn't the defense subpoena his family? Like, why did you not subpoena his mom and his brother? I'm going to bring y'all on the stand, treat you as hostile, and I'm bringing up every interview that you stated when you talked about your brother putting his hands on him. Why are we forgetting all the interviews they made in the beginning?
No.
It's just so many things they didn't do.
What just came to mind is the prejudicial effect of the way that enhancement was, because they only shine light on Karmelo. So to me, that is highly prejudicial. And you mean to tell me you didn't go and highlight the real criminals that was on that video? Because but for the bullying Metcalfs, Karmelo would never have been attacked. So now that I'm thinking about it, that's a freaking argument that should have excluded that video, unless you go and do the same thing for the individuals that are a part of the altercation. How do you not highlight the individuals that are part of the altercation, but you only highlight the alleged defendant? That's very prejudicial.
It's extremely prejudicial, but again, like I said, they allowed them to play in their face and put the video in that they want to put in. The defense had them videos, even with that video, even when it wasn't enhanced. Let's talk about, let's get the enhancement, the pulled and distorted one. It was a wide range. It had plenty of room for you to start saying, who's that person? Who's that person? Who's that person? Who's that person? They didn't do, you have to dismantle what they have going on the prosecution side. But also the problem is that too many defense attorneys are really not about that in trial. They're just not good. I want to be very fair. They're not. And even if they were, if you as a defense attorney don't know how to put on a case, and you don't know how to put on a case. Yes, most people think we shouldn't have to put on a case. In this case, you put on a case. I'm calling every witness. The state is why is this? The state ain't putting him on the stand. There's a reason. The state will not put you on the stand that they can't use to make their case, to fit their narrative. I don't want your narrative. So I'm going to bring everybody in who immediately responded. You had the right people. Why wait till cross when you only can cross on what they've asked on? Everybody doesn't allow a wide range of cross. When they don't do like you're narrowed down. Me, I'm going to open it up. I'm bringing you back and I'm treating you as hostile. I don't have time to waste time if you're not going to do it on the prosecution side because they don't want to paint a story for you. It's your job. You had a job. And I just, as much as it was prosecutorial misconduct and it was heavily a judge issue, I think he has a stronger ineffective assistance of counsel argument because they were so trash. If a trash can could be the size of earth, they should be in it.
Yes.
Over they were trash and they know they're trash, and that's what I'm saying, because there's just no way there. Why didn't you anticipate these people? Why didn't you anticipate everybody who was there? Why didn't you know they had witnesses who had signed the NDA that didn't be there? That didn't make them not be witnesses. That meant that the prosecution wasn't calling them. Why didn't you call them? Like, I'm sorry, I'm just, you gotta, it really.
No. That's a good point because a lot of people don't know the procedures and the process that goes on. So I would say this: when I was sitting there during the trial and everything was just flowing, and a lot of the bloggers and the independent journalists that was there, they were very concerned. And from a person that knows how you take care of a lot of things on the back end, like pretrial motions, that will streamline the actual trial and prevent gaps. And it will also afford the jury not having to have these long waits. So you handle a bunch of the motions, the discovery prior to trial, so that all of that is predetermined. Now, a lot of stuff can be a lot of stuff is put on hold. And they always say, hey, you open the door. That means when the judge say, is excluded unless you open a door. That means that the burden hasn't been met for this particular piece of evidence or statement to come in. Now, if it comes at time, yes, we can have a hearing outside the presence of the jury, but out of abundance of caution, it's excluded until. That's what pretrial motions are. So I'm sitting there, I was like, just to be honest with y'all, we don't know what the pretrial motions look like, what kind of, hearings they had, because he closed the case off for us not to have access, and now we understand why. Because listen, I would have been on that. Hold on now, not judge. Your Honor, I would have been contacting the daddy. I was like, Drew, I ain't trying to interfere with that man's job, but he ain't doing that. Ain't right. You find somebody, Drew. We got you. That ain't right. But they did that in order to exclude and suffocate. And I would say this, even though I don't have respect for the advocate that I believe started a lot of the end of what happened to this case with the rhetoric. If what he said about Mike Howard, them having having a back and forth, that may have well be true, because they probably didn't want him around anything that could be their checks and balances. So if there's anything that I can probably give him an ounce of, yeah, I can see how they have, because we see what happened to the trial, because they did not have an advocate around them to actually check that they were doing. Now, what they have now is the setup that should have been, but we can't talk about should have been. I believe that they suffocated that family from having outside, because they also didn't want me in the courtroom. I ain't let y'all know that. Yeah. So word got back to me, because we were there. They only had Black media, and I'm giving y'all an exclusive. So y'all want this exclusive, y'all better be liking, sharing, and subscribing, and share. Like, do it now. Do it now. But because they did not allow Black media, they only had nine designated media, legacy media. Legacy media mean white media. White. That's it. Alternative. Say, oh, they're local. They have not been covering this case from the inception the way that we have. We have reported more extensively on this case. They just make it a issue when it's something that needs to be reported. No, we've been on the ground. So if you were not a part of legacy media, you only had 27 slots for the public. What they didn't tell you is they were also giving those slots to media. So we would have to be there at the crack of dawn, because I was there on the behalf of the family, the Anthony family, to also make sure that the right story gets out. And being that I have utilized my ability, my skills, and my assets to make sure that this family knew that throughout this process, if y'all have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate. Well, word on the curb is when I checked in to make sure that I was present the following day as required, oh, we're out of passes. I was like, okay, cool. Now, I didn't press a lot, because here's the thing. This is a very stressful moment. They have a job to do. I'm a Black woman. Baby, we resourceful. We gonna figure it out. We gonna show up whether we got a pass or not, and we gonna make sure we are in the room. So knowing that, I said to myself, I was like, listen, I'm still gonna show up. I'm just gonna have to get in that jungle, because I was in the jungle. It was a jungle out there. You hear me? It was a jungle. I was like, I'm not gonna put this stress or concern. I'm still gonna show up. We're still gonna make sure that we run the right information regarding what's going on. So that happened on Thursday. Friday, because the trial started Thursday. Friday, it was raining. Same thing. I checked in, was like, hey, we don't have any passes. And she pretended like she didn't even know me. She pretended like my name wasn't on the list. And again, I'm like, I'm gonna lean on God, because God gonna show up each and every time. So Saturday, because they had Saturday court, I get there and I wait in line, of course. I was there early, but the way the sheriffs were cherry picking for the whites. We're gonna talk, yeah, they were out there cherry picking for the right whites and changing the rules. I didn't get into afternoon. This was when the lion Eddie was on the stand. The one that was denying Karmelo, like Peter denied God. Jesus, he already told me he was gonna deny him. You know what I'm saying? So I get in, but as I'm sitting there, Mr. Anthony is looking like, why are you not in here? I said, don't even worry about it. I'm gonna get in. Because he told me, he was like, hey, if you stay to the afternoon, normally they have slots open. I was like, cool. I still had my little laptop. I was up there until it was time to go in. I couldn't take it. Saturday I get in and she finally sees me, and I was like, yeah, I'm such and such. Oh, you were able to get in. Yeah, but I ain't giving you no smoke, because this is a big case. It's never going to be about me with this. I'm just here to make sure that their story is told the right way. Right. So Saturday I'm sitting there and I heard some of the individuals that had passes. Now, mind you, she had gave the pass that was supposed to be to me to another attorney that was there on the behalf of the white media. Now, mind you, I know this attorney. I didn't trip, because this is not an attorney that has any kind of bad dealings or anything. I've always been respectful. So I'm never going to come and be like, oh, no. Because when it's your time, it's your time. So I get in. I hear some of the family is going back, because now, mind you, this trial should have been at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks. They didn't anticipate having this trial be concluded on Tuesday. I didn't either. Because I'm like the defense. I know they about to go toe to toe. They about to bring everybody. They about to bring everybody named mama in here. Because this case was trash. We about to tear this out the roof, out the bone. You hear me? So I hear that and I text her Sunday. I was like, hey, I know some of the individuals have left to go back home. I just want to make sure that I'm on the list. And I was like, yeah, you're on the list. I was like, ain't that some? Now I'm on the list now. But hey, God, I'm in there. So I ain't have to get up at the jungle, but I got up still early because I'm never going to allow someone to dictate my presence for someone that needs all the support that they can get. So Monday comes, Tuesday, same thing, it was over Tuesday. After a conversation I had with someone involved, they was like, yeah, they didn't want you in the courtroom. I said, excuse me? I was like, yeah, because you are part of Black media who was telling the story the right way. Like, you were not there causing any issues. You were being fair based off of what was being presented, but they didn't want you in there. I said, it's usually how they happen. This ain't gonna be the last time, but to know that his team did that, it was his team that did that. That lets me know that this boy, it was Karmelo versus everybody.
Yeah.
And that to me was even more disheartening. And that's a lot of the emotions came out because when that was told to me, and knowing that individuals that were on the front line was getting death threats, was getting doxxed, that added another layer because regardless, we still showed up. You can put a roadblock. That's why Black people will always prevail, because there's nothing that y'all can put in front of us that we won't overcome. So I wanted to get that little nugget because I was just like, I was shocked. But I wasn't swayed. It didn't sway my support. It didn't sway my way of thinking, because I know what the reality for that family was. They needed everybody that showed up to support them so that they can feel that love with all the hate that surrounds them in Collin County. And they had so much. But enough about me. I want to get back into the evidence standpoint because there was a lot of questionable evidence. One in particular is how you talked about scanning those videos. Now, when we went back and scanned those videos, we saw someone throwing something in a trash can, someone picking it out the trash can, and someone hightailing it out of there. But it wasn't highlighted. That's something in the investigation standpoint that it wasn't even in the offense report, because officers are supposed to go back and review video and identify pieces that stand out. Prosecutors are also supposed to do the same thing because it's under their care, custody, and control. Now you got to find out who that person is that was at that trash can, because now you got to turn it over and you got to have an interview with them. None of that happened. So when that happens and you see it, and I know the defense had to have access, they saw this. We saw it. What do you do from that standpoint when you see a suspicious individual that's throwing something away that the police didn't investigate, which now the police investigation should have been, like, I would have been slapping them just like this. Y'all ain't do nothing. How would you have approached that situation?
I would have pieced it together, and it would have been, I wouldn't have went to the state at all to say, where's this? I would have figured out and identified who those people were, and I would have went and figured it out, and I would have just subpoenaed them, and I would not have prepped them, and I would not have asked them questions until they got there. And we all will be surprised when we get on the stand, because I know the officer didn't do it. So I'm going to make sure I walk it down. So you see this person right here, you don't report that because you go through the whole spiel. This is defenses, you know, we're supposed to ask you, you know, because normally it's going to be the lead investigator. You're going to say, I'm lead detective. You're going to say, you the lead detective on this, right? Okay. And when you are the lead, you make sure that you write reports. And in your reports, you have to write everything that you think is essential, especially the evidence, right? You're going to be thorough, right? You weren't rushed. You were at your desk. You were able to sit down. You were able to take a break. You were even able to write supplementals if you had to, right? And you didn't do that here. And even when you did, you didn't include this. But you go on so far to break it down to say you had every opportunity to tell us what was important. And not only when you put in your reports, you put in the evidence that is very important. That is an essential thing, something they want to call evidentiary value. And in particular, you put in evidence that would not only be evidence for the defense, but that would benefit the defense, especially the evidence of the defense. Then you go through that whole spill, you lock them into that, and then you say, but you didn't do that here. And then you go through every piece of the video. You see this person here, you can't even tell me who that is, can you? And that they're putting in the track, you go, I'm not giving you no time to prep because I don't care what this, because I know that we have one chance as the defense. And its element of surprise is what we have to do. But we got to be we'd be more prepared than the state. You got to be more prepared than them because me going back to them, what I've learned about, like, even if the prosecutor is as cool as they're going to be, you cannot trust that when you tell them, hey, I think they missed this. Can you tell me who that is? That they're going to do the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't trust that they're going to go investigate it. And even if they do investigate it, I don't trust their report of what happened. Half of them, the body worn Kim just so happened to not be working that day. And, I left it on the dock. I don't want to hear it. And I don't want the witness to figure out their lie to say what you threw in the trash either, because again, it'll be my word against your word because nobody will know what you threw in the trash, but I know that it looks suspicious.
Yes.
And the jury think that it's going to be exactly what it is. I'm controlling. We are the people who are basically testifying through cross-examination for our client. Because if our client doesn't want to get on the stand, they don't have to. And you don't have to get on the stand to generate self-defense. You don't have to get on the stand. So if you go through the evidence like you're supposed to as the defense, I'm not asking the prosecution that. I don't even want, and especially the officers, I'm not even calling you. I never talk to the officer. I don't want to have anything to do with you because you've done all you're gonna do. Listen, don't waste my time. I'm smarter than you anyway. That's just the principle. I'm always going to be the smartest in the room at the time, and I'm quick on my feet. But you have to be adaptive. Even if you ain't never seen a video, go through it. Look at every little angle. They have all this stuff. You got all these tools in the world that you can use that are free to you because the state has to provide you with the viewing tools and all the different things. And you know how to work it. A Google search can show you how to work technology. Hell, it ain't that much. I don't know what to tell them. So for me, if I'm the defense, absolutely not asking this state to tell me why you didn't have this. And it's my playground. This is my world now. We're on my story. And so I'm going to write the story for my client because their story sucked. Obviously, that's all the best that they can do. And you got to just show them that their best is the worst.
Yeah.
I think that defense failed. And I think the prosecution did what they're going to do. But ain't no way that I would go to them and say, yeah, you missed this. Yeah. No, you missed it. And I'm glad you missed it.
And honestly, it's the prosecution's job to check their detective on their bad work. And the prosecution has the ability to not sponsor that officer. There have been several times that I would not sponsor an officer if I found that they lacked credibility on how they did their investigation. And I would call it out. I had a case one time, and this is why when you have a fair prosecutor, is few far in between. I had this case. I inherited this case because I'm the type, I was like, put me in trial. Like, I will go to trial. If y'all don't want to go to trial, I'll go to trial because that's where you get experience from. There was a case that was considered a robbery. It was assigned to a white prosecutor. A white prosecutor that, was having whatever inappropriate conversations with the boss. And it got out and they cried wolf and the white tears won. But she was also a lazy prosecutor, a prosecutor that I know that should not have been a prosecutor because she lacked the intellect, the skill set, the temperament, and the fundamentals of fairness. So I get the case and it's set for trial. And her number two, who is now just got elected to being a judge, I will forever appreciate her number two because she was a teacher. She was a real teacher and she was never a hater. She gives me the case. She was like, now understand, I want you to go through it. If it's not something that you want to take, give it back to me. If there's something wrong, let me know. So the public defender, no, was it a public defender? No, this one's in the public defender. The defense attorney came in and was like, when I got assigned, it was like, hey, have you had a chance to watch the videos? I said, I haven't got a chance to watch the videos through, but I went in to make sure that there were videos, they worked, and it's being transferred to me. It was like, well, I want you to know this is not a robbery. At best, this is a theft. But at best, you're going to have to dismiss it. And I always take into consideration a defense attorney that has watched the evidence and has thoroughly examined discovery, because that says a lot. That says that they're prepared. That says that they know more about the case than me. And I got to get on my game because I'm supposed to be the one that knows more. So I was like, let me review the video, because she had wrecked a prison sentence. I said, let me review the video. That man ain't touched nobody to get that pack of beer out the doggone stove. Ain't touched nobody for it to be a robbery. Ain't push, ain't poke, ain't pry. That man went and just grabbed that case of beer and he got up, he bust out the door. That's all he did. And I said, when I saw that, I called the defense attorney in. I said, listen, we're not even finna do this. I had talked to the number two. I said, this has to be dismissed. I said, it ain't even a thought of reducing it or doing anything to it. It has to be dismissed, because the way that this officer wrote this offense report, the way that this officer arrested this man, the way that this officer didn't even go back and look at the evidence that did not support a robbery case, the way the intake didn't even review the evidence that they were supposed to review before they sent it to grand jury, the way that grand jury did not know that this wasn't a robbery, now it's in the prosecutor's hands. It has to be dismissed. Mm-hmm. That is what it looks like to have a reasonable prosecutor and a defense attorney that understands that there's a new eyes on this case. I can get somewhere, because he had this same conversation with that girl. Hey.
Right. I mean, you typically are going to have that conversation. You know, the first thing you're going to do is say, are we doing this? This is this at best. Like, if you hear her say, you know, have you seen that? I don't mind telling you, have you seen the video? Mm-hmm. This is what it is. I think at best, you're going to have this. Right? At best, we're going to, and honestly, if my client accepts anything more than that, if that's what they want to do, we're not going to be able to do that. That's as much as I'm going to get far with you. And if after that, you don't take that and go say, let me go look at it myself, or let me do this, and you still are standing on it, and I'm looking at what I'm looking at, I just instantly am like, I'm done with it. And for the most part, after a while, you get to know the prosecutors, and you know which ones are going to, who don't have autonomy. Those who are going to still have to go through with every single case, no matter what. And that's a scary place to be in. In a lot of places that I practice, they don't have the autonomy to drop the case. So they will absolutely take a case that they know shouldn't be there. But the fear that your clients have who don't want to be in trial, I want to be very clear. The only reason why I'm in trial so much, the only reason why I get so many not good is because I be hyping my clients up. I'm like, listen, you can go plea to this piece of paper if you want to. They're not offering you no pleas. The plea sucks. Or we can go in here, we can put on a case, and we can do what we're going to do. We're going to rock out. That's what we got to do. And my clients be like, all right, well, what do I have to lose? Right? But they're terrified. they don't even want to be there. Most of them don't even want to be on trial. They don't want a trial, but this is where they're facing it. So he got lucky with somebody like you who was reasonable, who actually had some sense. Because I tend to think most prosecutors have a different brain, and I really think they'd be like some off. You know what I'm saying? You lucky enough to not be one on that list, but it ain't many. It ain't many.
And speaking of, let me bring this up to go over some of the outstanding issues that are in this case. So I took it up on myself to be, a former prosecutor, and prosecutors like to be very very colorful in how they do their exhibits. They like to be very organized. They like to feel like that's going to win them the case. No, it's not. But when going over some of this evidence, and especially thinking about it from a defense standpoint, when you have 21 witnesses from the states, and let's say 50% of the individuals have inconsistent statements from what they told the police, talk about how problematic that is for the state and how that benefits the defense if it's questioned in the right way.
So it's always good when it doesn't match, right? For us, it's like, this is a win. Like, I think we benefit most when they're not coordinated, or when that's normally a situation where I believe like officers think they know more. They think that they know what it looks like to do it on the stand. And so I personally, I don't know, it's just beneficial at all times when they come in there and they overhype something, or they overstate something, or they understate it. A lot of them actually don't review anything. Let's talk about it. They do it one time, they review it, and then they get in there and they've told them one thing, or they withhold it. Because you'll find out sometimes on the stand that the detectives have actually withheld evidence because they didn't think it was relevant. Their whole idea of relevance is what is the worst nightmare to me for a prosecutor, because they absolutely will do, I didn't think it was relevant, so I didn't include it. But then they get asked the right question by us on cross, and then they're like, oh, it looks really bad for the prosecutor. A lot of times you'll watch the prosecution's face; they're finding out the first time something brand new, and they're looking like, and you could see it. It's written all over their face. They're stuck. They're like, oh, and then and then what happened? Because they don't know what to say. They're not prepared. That's not a written question. They don't know what to do. And you're like, and then they struggle on redirect because they weren't prepared for it, and they're scrambling, and you see them going real fast and typing, trying to get their staff to go get something, because they are literally prepared. Prosecutors come in with their pre-marked exhibits. They come in with their list to check off what they're going to put in. They know what order they want to go in, because you guys on the prosecution side run the case. They're running the show. So everything is already lined up. So imagine you getting something and you're like, that's not what this exhibit was supposed to do. That I can't even get this exhibit in anymore. It's ruined. It's a big win for the defense, of course, when it falls flat, especially when they try and put in evidence that they've been waiting on. And I love a good one where they really trying to get it in. It definitely happened in one of my cases. The prosecutor we both thought this was a video. So the officers mislabeled a video and then just didn't send the right video. But we kept saying, maybe they just don't know what they're looking at. And so the custodian of records gets on stand. They're like, and isn't this and that? And then the video from your building? She was like, no. And they were like, hold on, this is not the video. And she was like, no, that belongs to that building. And so the whole time we've been preparing on this one video. So then when they finally go get the custodian for the video, trying to get it in, it got excluded, because I was like, absolutely not going to happen here. I don't care what you do. This is not coming in. And that video was their smoking gun, right? But it didn't come in because they didn't verify it. The witness wasn't prepared. The officers didn't label it right, or didn't say that was what it was. So again, big wins for the defense when the prosecution and the officers do not align on what they're supposed to do when their witnesses fail them That's what I call it. The witnesses feel, and the victims are normally their worst nightmares. The victims come in with a whole new story the day of. It's extremely enhanced to the point where you're like, even the state's like, where did these messages come from? Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, do tell. I'm at this point, I'm happy. I'm writing, they did not know on my paper. But it's, always a win.
It's so when we're talking about the inconsistent statements from the witnesses, we're talking about the inconsistency from the detective. When a defense attorney is looking to, like in Karmelo Anthony's case, what will possess the defense attorney to allow the state to use witnesses that are not credible to come to the ultimate conclusion about the law? Witnesses, if they're not a qualified expert, can you talk about the qualifications has to match an individual making the ultimate conclusion of the law? You cannot have someone that is not an expert say, oh, that was self-defense. Oh, that was provocation. That comes with, you got to have the skills, the knowledge, the experience in order for you to have the ability to make the ultimate conclusion of the facts pertaining to the law.
Right.
What would you have? What, other than being held in contempt, what would you have done? What would you have done?
Well, I mean, it all also starts back to what you were kind of saying before, like pretrial stuff, right? Did you notice this person as an expert? Even officers, people don't understand that officers cannot talk about through my training, knowledge, and experience without there being a notice that you're going to use them as an expert in that. And if I don't see it, it's not happening. So like when they come to the conclusion that was self-defense, that was provocation, or that's evidentiary value, I really have an issue with that. And I'm objecting every single time because you're not qualified enough to do it. Are they, Your Honor, are they testifying as an expert? Are they not? And if it is an expert, even then, they have to notice you on what they're going to testify about. If it's outside the scopes of what they're going to testify about, they're not qualified to say it. And you got to stop them in their tracks as they do it. But people aren't doing that. People don't stop them and say, I'm on the notice. Your Honor, they noticed that this person was going to testify about this, this, and this. And they're testifying way outside the scope of here. And nowhere in here is these, we do what they call voir direing the actual, expert. And I'm saying, you're not qualified, Your Honor. I mean, it's just outside the scope. They know nothing about this area. And even though the threshold is low, right? Without notice, you won't come to no conclusions. Not in front of me. We not come to a conclusion. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about self-defense. And if you knew anything about self-defense, then you would have thought this whole scenario was self-defense. So why are we talking about what is provocation and you don't even know how to spell it? But
girl, not only that, what a lot of people don't know, and I'm glad you brought up the qualifying people as an expert and how officers can't even testify based on being an expert unless they are identified. And the only way that you are identified is through motions. And the motions have to be filed within a certain amount of time in order for an expert to be allowed to testify to what we know is the ultimate conclusion of law. So now I'm like, let me see. Did y'all have these little lying kids qualified as experts on your witness list because y'all had them up there testifying as experts to the underlining law, like the ultimate conclusion of law, like y'all had them up there testifying to it. So let me see if y'all had them as experts on y'all list, because if y'all didn't, we need to have another conversation.
Yep. Even the word so small as aggressor, right? You're asking them questions of who started it, right? And who finished it and who did what. Okay. But to let them say he absolutely was the aggressor, he's the one who provoked this. Words like provoked, aggressive, those are legal terms in terms of what these are elements of the case. They cannot sit there and tell us that. They don't even know what that is. And in the scenario, because what you might think is being provoked might not be what really means provoked in this scenario, right? You have no idea what you're talking about. So to allow them to say, first of all, I'm not even asking you all that. I'm not going there to say, and in your mind, was he the aggressor? Stop it. I'm not asking no kids that, because you already lied. If you lied about your relationship, if you lied about your proximity, if you lied about every little bit of it, because again, you're allowing these people who are not noticed, who are not anything to do with it, to get on the stand and talk about things they absolutely have no right to talk about. They could talk about what they saw. They could talk about a lot of things. But again, where were these experts? And you get the list. You know who they're doing in advance. You know who's coming. Without notice of an expert or motion of an expert, we're not even having this conversation. I'm not doing it at trial. It's not happening.
And speaking of experts, when we're talking about self-defense for Karmelo and for what we have seen as part of the evidence that they had, what kind of mitigating experts would you have utilized in order to bring even more doubt? Because it was already doubt. It's just I'm still like, that's why I said that jury was dumb. They cherry pick, because let me tell you something. They knew if one of these Negroes that was gonna be on that jury, we were gonna be, nah, we can't do it. And I have a perfect example of that happening. But they kept these particular jurors, and it was Batson. And what people don't understand about Batson is that's another way to protect jurors against prosecutors or defense attorneys using race, age, or gender to disqualify you from a jury. And once you get through the strikes, because there's a process that when you're asking questions during your voir dire, some people just automatically get stricken from the jury based off of not being able to follow the law, Constitution, and things that really qualify them to be stricken just off of what they said and what the law states. But once you get all of the strikes out, then you have the pool of potential jurors left. And only each side get a certain amount of preemptory strikes to strike jurors. But it has to be a race neutral reason why you're striking a juror. To say that an individual they struck these 3 educators that were Black because they are educators is a goddamn lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the Black teachers, especially, they're gonna get back there and they're gonna start teaching y'all some shit that y'all should have been taught from the inception of you being out the womb.
Right.
Like how to be fair, how to actually read, how to not be a follower, how to trust your gut, and how to trust what the Black letters say on that paper. So, have you ever experienced a situation where you've had to call a prosecutor out for Batson?
I have not had one yet. I have a lot of. I haven't had to do it yet. I don't think that a lot of prosecutors in the state of Maryland, where I do most of my trials at, value jury selection like that, to where they're that particular. It is, and also half the time they're not doing the striking in the counties that I'm in. Like they don't strike as much as I think they should strike, but I've seen it be challenged. Other people have had to challenge it. But it's never happened to me, because I've seen that I think they possibly were striking them for that reason, but I've never seen them do it to like every single one, right? Like it's never like the same consistent thing. It'd be like, okay, it might have been the Black person here or the Hispanic person there. Like it's sporadic. They kind of make sure they're throwing one off to where I can't really make the full challenge, because it's never consistent. You know what I'm saying? So it's close, but it's never consistent. But it's definitely horrible, because it happens all the time. You know it's coming. You know they're going to do it. It doesn't benefit us. You can also see how they question them more up at, like, when we have to approach the bench with those people, the people who are in the jury pool before they're selected. and they will ask them more questions over and over and over to see, like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Can you be impartial? You know what I mean? So it's similar to that, but I have not had to do a Batson challenge at all.
Freezy in the chat. Freezy is super amazing. His platform, No Captivity, is, listen, No Captivity has not turned this case loose. When I tell you exclusive after exclusive, like, it's like they should have hired him to solve this damn, this damn case.
No, for
The
real.
name
Right.
No Captivity. And Freezy, I need you to get Yaladra on your show because she's a defense attorney and she has a wealth of knowledge that your audience will be able to take advantage of in order to break down some of these things that are going on from a defense side. Because we all feel the same way that he did not have anybody. It was Karmelo versus everybody. But to get back to because a lot of people keep saying, why they did not have mitigation experts? Why? For the life of me, I don't know what the hell they were thinking when we're talking about self-defense, mitigation. Freaking, it was a ghost town. Like, even I'll tell you from my standpoint, I always prepared as if defense was going to bring or have something, because you never cannot prepare for that. Because like, the defense don't have to tell us a god thing. They can show up and kick our ass and we just like, oops. We like bobblehead. Damn, take me through that. So to know that this defense didn't even do any of that. No defense experts on the use of force, no experts on the sloppy work that the detectives did, no expert to refute that damn grainy ass video. No, they could have had an ME expert to talk about. There was a point where the ME stated that this was a defensive wound, which means that it's not intentional, and which means that Karmelo saying that I was just protecting myself. I know I'm not guilty. What are you doing? And what blows me even more is because I've been watching the Blaze Taylor trial from Tennessee, because my former mock trial coach, she was in there just taking them through that. And it doesn't matter what the results look like at the end, but you need to make sure that you have a defense that is going to put up something. She had a use of force expert. She had toxicology experts to refute the toxicology results. She had experts that refuted the ME's results, I mean the cause of death. She had a retired detective that came in to testify regarding detectives allowing individuals to remove evidence and not going back to get certain evidence and then drawing these ultimate conclusions, and it ain't even finished. So when you saw that there were no mitigation experts, what went through your mind? Like, how did that make you feel, from knowing that you are one of the ones that, baby, if we going to war, we going to war.
We're going to war. There's no way. I was shocked, because it's one thing to make their expert your expert. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a way that their expert report might just be good for you anyway. Right? Like, if their expert report is good for you, all right, cool. But if you need to get, even then, I would just have had it to double down. I'm getting the ME one. Not having another ME is insane. Like, you have to have that. That's bare minimum. Having the police work was sloppy, so I absolutely would have done it. I would have brought in used my investigator as somewhat of an expert to be able to say, like, if I'm just an investigator, which is normally a retired or a former officer sometimes, that came in and got the same evidence, got the same stuff, it doesn't make any sense. The trajectory part would have been very huge on the knife, like the defensive wound. You want to have that use of force. You want to have that. So to have none, and they had a stack of them, that's not acceptable. Like you have to go not every time you have to match expert for expert, because sometimes the expert reports actually are just in your favor. Like you don't even need to waste time.
Exactly.
But in this case, we really didn't have a choice, because let's look at it. What got me the entire time was, why are we not talking about trajectory and what it would look like to be in combat in a bleachers that are tilted? Like, it's raining, super, like scene reenactment. They didn't even have any of that. That was like kind of mind blowing to me, because I was like, this is not your average, I'm on the street. You know, we don't know, was he elevated? It was a lot. Like I would have absolutely had that. I think that was didn't make any sense why you would go through. I thought the trial was going to last 2 weeks for sure, because I thought they were going to have experts that were going to come in and say this, and this. Especially if you are not going to have any true eyewitness experts that are going to dismantle this entire idea, right? And then even if let's just say you didn't have it, the people that were so called in the stand, why didn't you make them act it out,
girl? We would have
You can actually.
We would have okayed.
You could take them there. You could have said, "I want to go to the state. I want them to be able to tell me, show the jury what that looked like." I just didn't understand.
We would have went on a field trip.
I just didn't understand why this was even happening. Like they did nothing on the defense side, but really the lack of experts and the lack of effort with the experts you had, or with the evidence you had, the movement that you have with this scene, they could have really, really used that. They could have used that scene. I'd have been there. We'd have had to take them there, because I'm not believing anything you say until you show me. I need to show me what it looked like.
Because Johnny Cochran said, I'm going to show you.
We got to take
them. I don't want to show you. I'm going to show you. He had that kente cloth on. He knew what he... Listen, the goat knew how to draw the people in and make them see the reality of his client, because that was missing throughout that trial. Karmelo had a fighting chance if he would have had the right defense attorney. The narrative of Black attorneys that were not available is a goddamn lie.
I feel like I had put it out there offer for free. I'd have took the case for pro bono. That's how crazy it makes no sense.
I would have been at Saints. We would have been in our market.
There are certain cases, because you see the writing on the wall. I would have took it pro bono. Because it wasn't even expensive for the defense. It's not an expensive case. First of all, what's his name? Freezy. The fact that he was able to do all that in the video.
Yeah, Freezy solved several issues, evidentiary issues, procedural issues, constitutional issues, freaking federal rules of evidence issues. Freezy has literally put on more than enough supporting evidence in his breakdowns that this case should have never. This case should have never been indicted. We can start and stop there, but it was because of the county, and we're talking about Ken Paxton. We're talking about the collusion that's going on in this case. We're talking about conflict of interest. I've never seen so much conflict of interest happening in a case than I've seen now. From that alone, I would not have, as a defense attorney, Toby Shook, this is your former partner, y'all office together. Now, in some situations that some people can separate, and I said this, I'm like, listen, people have friendships outside of the courtroom. Some people are best friends, but it takes a special group of individuals to understand we get in that it's war. I don't know. I don't see you. Copy what? Go get your own copies. my loyalty is not to you. So from that standpoint, it thrills my soul to know that and to see that happening during the trial. I saw a brotherhood still in existence, even more so when the verdict came out and the judge is talking about nobody making any sounds or moves. And the family is literally like having to silently battle the emotion. And Toby Shook sitting right there talking about some. Not even looking at the family, not even trying to come and console the family. That to me, that sold it for me on what the fuck was the reality of this case.
If you don't have, I know in cases I've had, the judge will say, this is a very highly emotional case. No matter which way the verdict is, I want you guys to at least hold whatever you have in until we get through the verdict. Right? Let's get through the whole verdict and do what you're gonna do. I've heard that happen, but I'm already sweating bullets. Like at that point, like when the verdict comes, nobody understands. They said we have a verdict. Your heart drops, right? So I can't imagine what the family's doing. I personally, when I step into the well, I don't see the family. I don't see nobody behind me. But that's in any part of the trial. It's almost as if I'm literally zoned out. I don't see nobody behind me or wherever I'm at. But I do see my client next to me and I know what he's doing. So the fact that he didn't have any real emotion there or anything to deal with it, like that's traumatic. So I shoot, I'd be tears start rolling the moment I hear it guilty on my own. I'm worse than my clients could be real chill. And I'd be like, especially if it's something as big as that, right? And to not even acknowledge the family or the hurt. You're not really trying. You're really not there. You're not checked into that case and you really didn't care to begin with. I mean, that's just the facts. But one thing I always say, they keep hiring these white lawyers, and I ain't knocking every white lawyer in the world, but
Listen,
I mean,
all my hardest trials have been against Black lawyers. My easy trials have been against white lawyers. Every single time. There has not been one white lawyer that has wore me out in trial, but I can give you a slew of Black ones. And I'm glad at the time that I was getting wore out, I wasn't wearing a wig because it was gonna be slipping. I had one trial that when I was going against this Black attorney, I had to shift my wig. It was, I said, I said, you doing too much. I can't even look back because my wig gonna shift because you over there doing too much. So there's a misconception about African American attorneys, but I can guarantee you, I would pick an African American attorney to defend me, and I would pick an African American attorney to try a case with me. Because if where I lack, they make up. Where they lack, I make up. And it's a show. It's a sight to see. It's a baby taking opposing counsel through that each and every time from voir dire to closing. It is a non-stop show because nobody can talk to a jury like we can. Nobody can adapt because of the experience and things that we have had to overcome. And we got a lot of season that they still can't manage how to get the recipe to. So I tell anyone that's always who I refer cases to. Now, only way I refer cases to the Caucasities is if it's in a jurisdiction where where we ain't going. And I always reach out like, hey, they're like, I don't go out there. So I got to give it to the Caucasities. And the Caucasities, if they hire you, they hire you. But with Karmelo's case, and before we get out of here, speaking of the motion, they found a motion for new trial. And you talked about how it has to, customarily, it goes back in front of the judge who tried the case. They also filed a motion to recuse. In the canons in the state of Texas for judges, they cannot comment in interviews or show a bias towards a case that they have just set on or is sitting on. That is grounds for disqualification and should be grounds to require that he knows that he needs to recuse himself. But in the event that he does not recuse himself, they have to go and do a recusal in front of another judge in order for it to be heard, because of course he can't hear the freaking recusal. As a defense attorney, and we rarely see judges go on and comment on cases. They know that there should be a motion, appeal filed on said case. What did you think when you saw that the cockroach? Because he looked, that we call him cockroach. And I don't care if y'all like, I didn't call y'all done said everything about me. So listen, I don't care. I don't care. The cockroach, because he roached around now just doing whatever he wanted to do. But make sure y'all doing what y'all need to do, because we got over 700 in here. Y'all should be subscribed, liking. Y'all should be sharing this live, because we sharing everything but what's under this wig, which is the Meek Mill braids. We ain't gonna show that yet. We ain't there yet. Okay, we still getting acclimated. We still getting to know each other. Like when you in a relationship, you getting to know. They can't see the Meek Mill braids yet because they gonna leave. I don't want y'all to leave. I want y'all to stay. But when you saw the cockroach, knowing that he still have a duty to remain unbiased, go into an 18-minute interview after he done closed off all other media outlets. He done closed down this case because nobody get a hold of what was going on. But all of a sudden, you want to open the doors of your courtroom to have an interview. What does that say about the overall makeup of what happened in this trial? And what do you think the likelihood that this could be grounds to get him recused if he decides not to recuse himself?
I think that he knew that he was going to rig the trial from the beginning, and that it would come back, and that when it came back, he was not going to be on it. I think he knew that the trial was going to be rigged, and that it would be rigged to the point where Karmelo will be found guilty, and that by the time it does come back, Karmelo will have already done some time. Karmelo would have been broken, and Karmelo he still would have gotten what they're going to say is justice for Austin Metcalf, right? And I think it was a temporary Band-Aid moment that he has to be found guilty. I got to be the one to do it. And I don't care if I'm getting recused or not the next time around, because I would have already got my pound of flesh. Or I would have already gotten what I needed to get out of this case. And so there are some judges who have this mentality of, okay, well, it'll come back on appeal, but by then you would have done time. There are a lot of prosecutors who feel the same way. It'll come back on appeal, but it doesn't matter, right? So I think the overall shows exactly that he executed his plan. He was going to get that guilty regardless. It wasn't going to matter. And that he had no intentions on being the judge the next go round. I think he is almost guaranteeing himself not do. I think he did it on purpose, because he couldn't have been. He knows better. He did it on purpose so he won't be the judge. I think he knew that Karmelo was going to get that second shot, but it doesn't matter, because again, they want to be the ones to say that it happened.
It's election season. This is what I tell people. It's election season. You have Ken Paxton up for election. You have Cockroach that's leaving. I don't know if the predator prosecutors who had to settle a sexual harassment and retaliation case. And that's another thing. This is why it's a caucasity, because ain't no way that these individuals should not have been reprimanded by the bar, should not have been removed from office, because a settlement is enough for me to find that you did something, because you went on this whole smoke show. I can't wait to go to court. Well, you didn't, because you settled, because that means you did something. And just because there is no finding of guilt, that you ain't admit nothing, you settled. A person that didn't do anything wouldn't settle. But even more so, I'm just let y'all know tomorrow when I see y'all, because I'm coming back tomorrow, because it's some caucasity conflict of interest that's going on that we gotta unpack. We gotta unpack these Mevcanians, because that's what their name is. That Attorney King, he didn't name them. He got a whole little group Mevcanians, like, because they are insane. We're gonna talk about them. But most importantly, I'm gonna show y'all how to go and file a complaint, because just like we be out here filing them mass complaints on these nurses when they do something, I'm gonna show you how to file the same mass complaint on Bill Worski, Dewey Mitchell, who was the second chair, who left the Dallas DA's office because his homeboy was up there screwing the prosecutors and he didn't want to get fired for, that. Yeah, they all dirty. Greg Willis, we gonna get because somebody needs to report them on that settlement, because it's only a 7-year statute of limitation on situations like that. Then I'm gonna show y'all how to file it on that judge, because it's definitely giving Batson. He went and did an interview, which is a violation. So we're gonna get into how we gonna do this, because since they want to play, we finna play in the legal way. And the legal way is me showing y'all exactly how it's supposed to be filed, what rules qualify, because see, they'll deny your complaint just off of you going in there talking about emotions, and it's all procedure. See, that's what us blacks, us colors, us Negroes, we will beat them every time based off of procedure, because they don't like to follow procedure. That's the get you gotcha. We follow procedure. So when it's time for us to nuck if you buck, we're going to do it based off of procedure. So don't worry. I got it all figured out, because I've done it several times. I've had to file it. On me. You hear me? So we're going to get into that, because I need y'all to go and file those complaints of your concerns, because you are actually allowed to do so. If you see something that falls below the standards of what an attorney is supposed to act like and how they're supposed to follow, you as a regular old human being has the right to file a complaint. And guess what? I'm going to show you how to do it, because we're going to get to the bottom of these predators, the bottom of these individuals that have no moral compass and would rather convict an innocent young man than bring them bullies who can possibly, let's say if he get the wrongful conviction is overturned, then y'all need to be looking at the ones that actually caused it, because Hunter, being that he was the aggressor, and y'all both put your hands on him, let's see what kind of charges can be brought against you for contributing to your brother's. It sounds like a conspiracy. It sounds like
I hear that we call that accomplice liability.
Yeah, accomplice liability. Thank you. Tell them what that is.
You don't even got to think about it. Made in the minds is that you're ready, willing, and able, and you were participating in some kind of way. And it's like encourage, aid, abet, whatever you did. All the people, including the ones who were throwing away evidence, accomplice liability. All the ones who walked over there with him, accomplice liability. All of that could be considered, because in the reverse, had there been two people on Karmelo's side, they would have absolutely charged them. And they don't necessarily always have a charge for it, but it is a jury instruction, and you can use it. And it's like a backhanded conspiracy. Conspiracy requires meeting of the minds. It's a catch-all to get them all, get them how you can. And they can absolutely got his brother. There's absolutely no way his brother should not have been charged in this. Even if he was the person who started the fight or started everything, he should have been charged. But again,
exactly.
When you get it's almost like, I believe in God, but I believe in God. So God says, he who has your heart, he who has your ear has your heart. And when you think about it, who had their ear, whoever gets to the media first is problematic. And they got to the media saying it was self-defense. He's saying he did it immediately. The narrative was ran on Karmelo, and then they were the victims. There was media going on both ways, right? And so when you look at that there's no way Hunter shouldn't have been charged. He admitted it. He said it in interviews. So why are we even wasting time? But they're not going to do that though.
Yeah.
They aren't going to do that. But that's just a thing you can follow. A lot of things you can start pushing forward and making them accountable. Ask the right questions. Always say, why are you not doing? I remember I kept asking this one case, why is this boy not charged? Why is this boy not charged? I'm not understanding words. Why hasn't he been charged? And then all of a sudden he was charged.
Look at God.
You
know what? It takes a black woman.
Like
God put us in charge for a reason. You hear me?
Listen. Just try. It was too many people who deserved to be charged in this case that didn't get charged. But I'm not stopping until they do.
And I think it's going to end up on a federal level. And the one thing that voting is so important. Voting is the main ingredient in order to alleviate some, but I'm not saying all, but to alleviate. And when we vote and we vote right, we get results like the Dallas County District Attorney John Corrupt Crusoe being evicted, and we'll get his walking papers on December 31st, to now having a competent, credible, ethical, have a moral compass of a district attorney in Judge Amber Gibbons, who kicked his natural Negro, house Negro, Django ass. And she did it in a way that has never been done. But that's the power of our vote. And one thing I'm going to leave y'all with, because we can talk about strategy and what we think is going to happen, but we have an election in November that can assist in fairness in the appeals process. And this is one thing I've been talking about. The appeals court that is going to hear Karmelo's appeal is here in Dallas County. And guess what? There are 3 seats that are open. Right now, the court is 7-6. Conservatives have 1 seat lead. But there are 3 that are up for this current election. They have 3 qualified Democrats. Guess what y'all need to do? If we are trying to make sure that Karmelo has a fair shot, we have to make sure that y'all go out and vote in the masses for these appeal seats. See, these seats are forgotten. Nobody pays attention to it. Remember I said we have to follow the procedure. And our procedure is using the vote. And when we go and vote in Dallas County for these seats, in order to turn them into the Democrats having the edge, that affords for him to be reviewed by individuals that actually have common sense. Yeah, common sense. Because common ain't coming right now. So if anything that I leave y'all with, make sure that you are equipped, you are ready to vote like our ancestors depend on it, to bring them back. Yeah, vote like our ancestors depend on us bringing them back, because that's how we fight corruption, collusion. That's how we fight white supremacy. That's how we fight MAGA. That's how we fight the Proud Boys. That's how we fight these demons, by doing it behind the ballot. So we have been on here for, babe, we gave y'all 2 hours. You know, my wig would be off right now. Listen, I'll be on the phone with my wig off right now. I don't never keep my wig on this time. What have y'all done? But Yeladra, I want to thank you for joining us tonight and giving some insightful information, especially from the defense side, that we hear it, but we're not hearing it enough as to what actually went wrong and what could have been utilized, and what does it look like when a person actually have a fighter as a defense attorney who over there freeing all the guys. You hear me? Free the guys till it's backwards. So we can't free them no more. It's free them until we see them. You hear me? It's
you know what I'm saying?
But tell the people where they can follow you, how how they can contact you for your services, because y'all, she out here kicking the state's ass, and I'm saying kicking, and they over there depressed and probably over there drinking some wine. You hear me?
Probably. So you can follow me on Instagram. It's at the YN lawyer. Yes, they have decided that I'm the YN lawyer. I don't know. All my clients started saying it, so I took over that. You can contact my office, info@drummondlawgroup.com. I'm on Facebook under my regular name. I'm on TikTok, I think, still under my regular name. Who knows? Might be the YN lawyer as well. That is now being coined, trademarked, and all of that. So we trying to, as well as Free the YNs. That is
the
awesome.
YNs, you know what I'm saying? You told me the YNs, they need to be free from the shackles of the corrupt system. You hear me?
Listen, somebody got to do it. Y'all got me out here with no makeup on, looking a mess tonight.
Girl, you hear me?
We're here for Karmelo.
You here for the people. You showed up for Karmelo Anthony's innocence, and we thank you. Make sure y'all are following. Y'all have subscribed, because listen, y'all getting up out of here. Make sure y'all have subscribed. Y'all have liked and share this resourceful, educational recording, because listen, where else y'all gonna get this free game from? They don't want it. That's why they buying up all the media slots. That's why they buying up all the media, because they don't want the Negroes to get even more educated, because they didn't let the Negroes get educated. That's why they trying to bring the student loan back. But we like, God paid it all. God paid it all with them. They ain't never gonna see no payment from me. I don't know who. Baby, payments are going to the wigs. And if you try to come get my wigs, then we're going to have to fight too. So I will see y'all tomorrow. Make sure that y'all are tuning in tomorrow, because we're going to go over information that is pertaining to filing these complaints. Yeah, we're gonna make them hire lawyers and spend money to defend themselves. Since they want to take the rights of ours, we're going to make them have to pay for lawyers to defend themselves. We're going to file it right, and we're going to file it loud, proud, and they're going to feel this heat that we about to get in. Yeah, it's hot out here. They better put on their sunscreen, because they're going to get sunburned, and we don't care, because you ain't getting none of our medicated sunscreen, because y'all don't, no, none of that. But make sure y'all are tuned in tomorrow. I'm coming back with more information for y'all pertaining to the case. And there's another case that I need to bring y'all aware of that happened in Florida. We have another African American who has shown up and been hung, and we are not playing about that either, because we don't hang ourselves. They do. We got to talk about that. So thank y'all for joining. Until we see y'all again, Yaladra is gonna come back when she is free and available, because she out here freeing the guys till it's backwards.
You know what I'm saying?
But again, thank you, sis, for joining. I thoroughly enjoyed hosting with you, and just showing the people what Black power looks like when we use it the right way for our people.
I'm happy to be here anytime. I'm always going to tap in if you call, even unless I'm like deep in a trial. I know. Deep in a trial. But for the most part, which is almost every other week. Yeah. But I'm happy to be here. I love this stuff. I'm passionate about it. We love what we do. And again, we're going to free the YNs today, all free. We're going to free all the guys, free the guys and the girls. So, we're going to free them all.
So that they can buy them shirts,
So, yeah, this one, on the back of this one, it says free the YNs. But
we need to flood the streets. We need to flood the streets with the free YNs.
Definitely got to put it on a shiesty, because they just need not wear it in there when they're doing what they do. I need them to buy in all Black at all times. I need y'all to stop. Let me see directly.
Would you mind if I contact you directly for a Houston case? So if it's for criminal, I'm gonna need you to tap into Yaladria Drummond. Did you get the information from her?
I don't know. We can put it in there, whatever. Yeah. Or you can put it on the screen if you want. my ad name. It has all my, if you go into it or go on my website, drummondlawgroup.com, and I can kind of maybe show them the logo, then they can kind of understand this is the law firm. So yeah, you'll see.
Before we So I'm gonna give y'all the Instagram. Now y'all go in these comments and get it and go hit her website up. I'm gonna put the that's the IG now.
Listen.
And the business page is
I think it's Drummond Law Group.
Yeah, and make sure I spelled it right now because
spelling. Oh yeah. You put an E. You put an E in it.
I did.
It's just Drummond Law.
Oh yeah. Hold on, y'all. See, I told y'all spell it.
It'll be all that. But yeah, I'm people be reaching out. Y'all reach out when if you need something.
I think I did it right.
You did. You got it right.
You know what I'm saying? If I don't get it right the first time, try again. You hear me? So thank y'all for joining. Until I see you tomorrow, because y'all coming back because we gotta file these complaints. I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all better be here. If y'all don't be here, I'm gonna find you probably in your dreams with my Meek Mill braids, and y'all don't want to see that. So y'all have an amazing evening, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Again, make sure you hit up my girl Yaladria for all your YN needs.
I'm saying.
All right, bye y'all.
Bye.